Life as Ceremony shares personal stories, interviews with inspirational souls, and practical wisdom to help you reconnect with yourself and spirituality. Welcome back to another episode of Life as Ceremony. Today we have Britt joining us. She is a mom, marathon runner, saleswoman, and fellow Winnipegger. Thank you for joining us today, Britt.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me, Sam. I like the intro. Very cute.
Before we chat about what it means to shine brightly, not dim your light for other people, know your strengths, be able to laugh at yourself, before we get into it, if you've already been listening to the show, we always start our guests off with a little bit of rapid fire and some this or that. Are you ready, Britt?
I'm ready. Nervous,
Okay.
but ready.
Sunrise or sunset?
Ooh, sunrise forever. I'm such a morning person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Me too. Me too. Dogs or cats?
Oh my gosh, dogs.
And how many? You have two dogs, right?
Two, yeah.
Two dogs. What are their names?
Charlie and Clementine, my little pack of cute little brindles. Yeah, yeah.
Aw. And
Forever. I always am like, I think I could never go back to just one. I just love the two vibe. It's so cute. Yeah.
Me and my partner are definitely going to get a second. I don't know when. It's either 2025, 2026,
Yeah.
but yeah, two dogs.
Yeah.
He needs a pal. He needs a
Yeah.
pal.
Definitely.
Aperol spritz or margarita?
Ooh, oh no, Sam, you know this is super good for me. Marg for life. I think, yeah, I'm a margarita girl for life, but I do love mixing in the occasional Aperol spritz when the time is right.
Nice. Going out for dinner or hosting a dinner party?
Ooh, okay, very fun, very fun. I think since we moved last year, I think hosting is my love language. I love it. I love it. We
Hosting is
recently
your
had
love.
one. It was like it's like the first time like my like core group of best friends like we're all in relationships and just really wanted to celebrate all the partners meeting and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is my special place. I love it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. And we're going to chat about parties and your home and celebrations later today.
Okay. We'll get into it. I'm sure. Perfect.
Um, do you have a favorite holiday?
Uh, no, I love them all so much. Like I want to say Halloween, but I'm like, no, I'm a crazy Christmas person.
Yeah.
No, so I like to just celebrate them all. Maybe
Oh,
Christmas for the length of it. I feel like it's so cozy, but
yeah.
probably, yeah, no, probably I would say like I love them. Can't
Love
discriminate. Yeah.
nice. What is your favorite thing to do with your family?
Ooh, truly, I've realized I'm just like happiest with my crew when we're doing some kind of sport. I feel like they're just at like the best ages right now. Like we had their gymnastics competition, they were both in it. It was Scarlett's first year. And I was just like, this is my happy place. Like seeing them perform, seeing them love this, seeing Dom, especially both Dom, my husband, as former athletes, just like the hockey rink. I just feel so at peace watching them do something they also love and enjoy.
Amazing. Nice. So they're in hockey, gymnastics.
At soccer, well, mostly Scarlett's just in gymnastics, but so yeah. And then Scarlett will come, and I just feel like we're at like before. I remember when they first started, it was like a rock paper scissors or nose game for who had to take the one to the hockey and who got to sleep in. And now it's just like we're at that place. So if you're in the thick of it as a parent, it gets way better. We're at that place where it's so fun to pack up and do the whole family. And like that's how we spend an afternoon. We're driving to East St. Paul. And we're going for the afternoon and we're yeah, just soaking it in. I love it.
Amazing. I played ringette growing up and I remember those weekends of just, driving around and it being like one of my favorite childhood memories too.
Don't you
So,
feel like sometimes I'm like I can remember the car rides associated with like my mom like sprinting and I just find like something about I thrive amongst the chaos and in the hustle and I just kind of love that like let's go we'll do it. We have our first like away tournament this weekend and I'm
nice.
just so excited for it.
Aw, right
Yeah.
on. And my last question for rapid fire question is, do you have a favorite quote or words to live by, even something that is just top of mind or coming up for you in life lately?
Okay, I do. I actually, this one came to mind immediately when we first started chatting about doing this interview, and just kind of shining and romanticizing life. I heard this, I swear it changed my life. I probably heard it maybe like 10 years ago. And it was just like life is never, it's not always trips and honeymoons. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's really just it's the mundane, it's the boring, it's the everyday. And you have to find magic in that, or you won't be a happy person. You can't wait for the big things. You just have to celebrate every day. And it was something along, again, I'm paraphrasing. I always want to try to like Google it and find the exact words because it was so brilliantly said. And I swear something snapped in my brain. And if I'm like making a coffee and I'm adding extra foam or something, I'm like, this is the best. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I think when you do romanticize the little everyday things, it truly makes such a difference in how you feel.
Totally. And like to me, what you're sharing, I like translate into like the language of mindfulness. And this is what it means to like embody and live life mindfully is to feel grateful and connect with the little things and notice the magnificence in the mundane. And I think another way to say all of that is to romanticize life. And it just brings you a lot of joy and connection in everyday simple moments like a coffee or whatever else it might be.
I mean, that's so beautifully put on your end too. I'm like spewing out
I just said what
words.
you said. Just
Practicing mindfulness. Yes, you are right. This is okay. I love that. I'm also going to take that away now.
Okay. So, Britt, like why I wanted to have you here today is because I love following you on social media. And I like giggle when I say this because I myself am not a mom. And so I watch your content and it brings me so much joy. And like I yeah, anyways, I'm trying to paint a picture for maybe, well, if you don't follow Britt on social media, you should go check out her page because it is so fun and so funny. And I hope it's okay for me to say this, but you're such a goof. And
That's accurate. So please go carry on.
and so talk to me about social media for you and kind of what was your journey with Instagram and brought you to making all these creative, fun videos. Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for saying that. And I laughed so hard again when we were in the initial stages of just chatting, and you're like, the Halloween lunch. I was like, I don't think I'm your target demographic, but here I am like, watching them. I was like, okay, that's amazing, Sam. Okay, so it really started as my like dog and cat question. I feel like Instagram, like, I still think of Instagram as like the over filters and like again, like any journey around how things get so kind of different and evolve and overcomplicated. I remember going to a restaurant so excited with like probably at the time it would have been like a Carly Colpitts, I mean, still my best friend. But we would go and be like, did you get the perfect shot of your food? Like toss it in a lo-fi, the black border. And like that was I was like, what a fun extra like little addition to a dinner party or something. It was just like I had so much fun with that. But truly, why I started, I had 3 dogs at the time,
Mhm.
and it was Clementine, Charlie, and Oliver. And I swear, the brindles are like when I lost Oliver. Now coming up 2 years ago, in January, which was like I'm sure you know, my
Mhm.
soul dog. And I don't think I realized how much people were invested in the
Mhm.
Brindles. You really never know. I mean, obviously, like I kind of gained a following during that time, and that's really when I started noticing more followers. But I didn't know they were invested in this. And when I lost him, the majority of comments when I posted, just kind of shared my grief on Instagram, were this is how I found you. This is how I found you 10 years ago. Like, he was a 12-year-old dog. So I guess I probably started honestly Instagram when he was a puppy, so 12 years ago. And people were like, I've just watched this relationship grow and through Oliver with kids. Um, and to me, I think that's truly when I knew I had this this genuine following who were like,
Mhm.
of course, like I am goofy and I love it, but people who genuinely care about your life are invested in it. And it to me, to make that kind of connection with strangers on social media. Like someone sent me, because my email was in my bio, and someone just sent me a gift card and was like, take a load, like, and from this stranger, and you're just, I'm kind of always just blown away by this like
Mhm.
cute community you can create, like this insanely sweet and genuinely invested community is like still something I'm like, I kind of like I feel so fortunate for. And they're just these online
Mhm.
friends. Like a lot of them are obviously real life friends, but a ton I haven't met. And I just think that is so inspiring. And that's how I feel about some people too that I follow. I'm like, I'm so invested in your life. This is weird, but I love it. So, anyways, a little bit of my background. Yeah, and just kind of how you said when you introduced me, like I'm in sales. I absolutely, so that would be my full time job, obviously. Love my job and feel so fortunate. I work with a great team, but I've always said, and they'll make fun of me every time we're together at a team bonding event. I love that I can have this like side project, if you will, or side page, because I love a creative outlet. I think it's so fun.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like always make like I am the butt of all jokes. I always make reels when I go into the office. I'm like, ooh, some new content, like a new background, and everyone's like, can you imagine? And like people have walked it up like in on me doing it, and it's mortifying, but I just go with it.
I love that. I can only imagine. And the connection that you're talking about on Instagram that is and can be very real. I'm having such a moment where I think you're also reminding me or like showing me why I love and enjoy following you so much is because for me, that's what Instagram, it still can feel like for me, but that's what it like really used to feel like for me when I first started was like this really authentic, really fun community, you know? And then social media evolves and I feel like I'm getting back to that essence of community and how it served that purpose. But yeah, I don't know, people don't always like comment or engage in the ways that we once used to.
Yes,
And
I do very much agree with that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but when they did, or even now when they do, or when that happens, it reminds us of that even though it's online or even though it's social media, the true essence of community and
Yeah.
connection can still exist. So just listening to that just reminded me of that. It made me feel like literally warm inside.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel it's like on the everyday, we're not as engaged, and I really, I think it's everyone's just in their different directions, and like I think that all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wanted to say something or comment or engage on this, and then my kids ran up to me and grabbed me and
Totally.
needed a snack or something. But I really find like this is such a funny example. But I posted something after a few drinks, and it was like this person said this to me at a party. I would never like share a name, but I just remember being like, oh, it's impossible for women to get ahead, and like I feel like this is when I knew I had also the best followers. They just like people were like, don't like just like rapid fired came into my defense. And then I was like, I'm like woke up, I'm like, that was embarrassing that I shared that. But it was super cool to know and to hear these people just like rally behind you of these strangers. And you're like, oh my gosh, like thank you. So I'm like, I always find like when it means so much more, you'll get
Yeah.
these like lovely comments. Or when like I said, I lost Oliver because that's truly I struggle. I would really never share a lot of grief on
Mhm.
Instagram, but I just felt like I was like, okay, like that was something I did really want to share, especially because he's someone or a dog I shared on Instagram for so
Mhm.
many years. And I really found that was so meaningful. And it's so much more meaningful than any other kind of just like off the cusp comment, like cute outfit or something like that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I can only imagine the soul connection you had with Oliver that it was evident in all that you were sharing because what you were sharing was your truth, your authenticity, and people connect with that and feel your connection that you had with Oliver. And yeah, for people to, respond in the way that they did is really beautiful.
It
Yeah.
was. It really was.
And so Instagram is also for you. You mentioned like a creative outlet. So, and you have a full-time job. So Instagram is kind of, is it a side hustle? Is it a creative outlet? Is it both? Tell us more.
You know what? I would say definitely more creative side project than side hustle. But I mean, slowly you get the occasional kind of like paid partnership, or just yeah, like little kind of like brand deals, which is like it's so I always think it's so fun to do. And that's when Dom's always down to film. He's like, "Oh, this one can make us a little side cash. Okay, like I can like jump in, I can help you film this." I'm like, "Thank you." Um, and then I'll kind of like I recently started sharing just links through it, and I find like that is a great kind of side hustle means. But for the most part, I would just say it's just like you said, it's just me being a goof with trying to like showcase my creative side. And when they introduce reels, I'm like, oh, like this is perfect. This is for me.
Perfect. I'm ready. I've been waiting.
I'm ready. I've been training.
Well, I think there's so many different ways to be creative and to express creativity, and one way of doing that is through reels, and you incorporate your kids and have so much fun with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, tell me about that. Do they love it? How do you come up with these videos? They're hilarious.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my biggest thing with the girls is it's so fun. Like I'll propose, I have to like work the angle, and then I propose it. But my favorite thing about doing it is like I'll never like they'll have like sometimes if they're like doing the voiceovers or something, obviously they have lines, but I want them to just go with it. Like I think all the time like the funniest ones they've done, and these ones are so off the cusp. Like they did that one with like the trend of like we're sisters, we steal each other's clothes, and like we were I always want it to be fun. I never want to be like girls, you're doing this, but like if they're over it, they're over it, and it's
Totally.
not happening. But if
Yeah.
they're into it, like we are crying laughing. Like I was in there filming and we're dying, and they get full creative control, they get full set direction, they think it's like hilarious, they want to dress up. And then I'll hear these little sound bites for like months to come after where they're like Scarlett will just be like, we're sisters. And I'm like, oh my God. And then and I recently, it was on her birthday. We road trip to Grand Forks. We surprised her. And Scar and Dom were over shopping. We had hit Target and they were done. I was like, I really want to go to Home Goods. And by this point, it's already like after a full shift of like a day and then shopping. And she had gone to school in the morning. It would have been like 8:30, maybe like right before they closed. And I was like, I really want to go to Home Goods. And then we're in there and we're looking at the funniest like items. And I'm like, so if there's this trend, and like her and I where you say like you pick the most outrageous thing and then you describe it to like the salesperson. Anyways, it was so funny. And she would like loved playing it. Like she kept wanting to find more things. They're like closing in 5 minutes. But really like, and now I'm like, this probably sounds so dumb, but I'm like, this was this core memory to me where like
Yeah.
it's her birthday, she has her little birthday headband on, and her and I were crying. Dom's like, I was like calling my mom. I'm like, Dom, she came on the road trip. We did a whole family one, and I was like, Mom, Dom left us hours ago. Like, we need a ride home. I'm still at Target. I got you. I'm like, okay, perfect. Anyways, it was like I love it, and I love seeing their little creative sides come out. But sometimes I propose an idea and they're like, Mom, no, absolutely not. Like we're over it. We're not doing it. So I think you just gotta go, especially with kids, you just gotta go with what works.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that just in general, like video is such it's a new and fun, creative way to be creative with your kids too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And yeah, I can imagine. I'm curious, like, what they're going to be drawn to as they get older, being, brought up and exposed to these forms of creativity that not everyone
Yeah.
is, and especially before video even existed, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, one of them is going to be a little movie star of some
I
kind.
honestly, I swear, I'm like watching them and I was like, oh my gosh, and their little like Taylor Swift outfits, like doing like making their own, and so on a regular basis. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've created a monster, but it's like, okay, vlog part two. You guys asked for it, you guys got it. I'm like, sorry, did you even have a vlog part one? Like, what's happening? Um, but just like watching that little creativity kind of like flow through her, I'm like, oh my god, I love this. And she loves the MTYP camps, and I'm just like, this is so fun. I don't know, it's such a fun little like bonding thing.
Totally. And I think that you can really truly see that through your videos, you know?
Okay,
Um,
good. So I don't look like a crazy like stage mom. I'm like,
no, no, I'm like clearly everyone involved here is like scented and they're loving it and I'm over here having FOMO that I'm not part of this. That
Okay,
is what I pick up
we do have
on.
a lot of fun, and Dom has a lot of patience.
Okay, let's talk about Dom quickly. Like, does
Okay.
he help you film these? Do you have a tripod? How does this all
I'm
happen?
okay. I tried if I can leave Dom out, I am leaving Dom out. He did
Okay.
film this is the best. We were leaving Grand Forks and we're tired. It's like we put in a full like weekend shift. We're hustling back for gymnastics. And I was like, I have this one idea at Target. I'm like, no one needs and he's like obviously like the girls and I have no shame. We're in public and we're just like dancing and doing whatever. And he's like mortified, but I'm like, there's no lines. We're just in like slow motion, like frozen. And he was like, "Oh my god!" So when I was like, "I can't whip out the tripod in Target," but I would say 98% of them is just me flopping around with my tripod. Which hearing this back is now embarrassing, but
No, it's not.
he
It's great.
will if I need him. He'll do it for me. He'll
He'll
step
do
up, and
it.
then he is in the occasional one, which is
I
really
was just going to say that. He is in the occasional one.
yeah.
There's this one video. I think it's so funny. It's super short. It's when you just like you're building your home
Oh my god, I
and you're,
know.
and you're in this big, beautiful blue coat. I'll share it to Instagram when I air this episode.
Okay.
Like, for those of you asking, and Dom's like, no one is asking. Like, no
That's
one is asking.
That's my top favorite one. So Dom does have like a rule. He was like, I'll only do it if it makes sense. Like if it makes sense and it's me making fun of you, because that's what I do, I'll do it. Like so he's like, that one's so funny. And then he sent me one time and was like, I would do this with you, where I'm getting up for a run. And
Uh-huh.
then he's like bops like the couch pillow and falls onto the couch. So he's like, if like it's funny, he's like, I know I'll get made fun of by all my buddies. But if I'm
Nice.
also making fun of you or something, so he'll do it, but it has to be there for you.
Authentic.
Yeah, authentic, totally. Yeah.
Exactly.
And we were
Okay.
negotiating. I think that cost me like 7 hours of Call of Duty or something. So yeah.
7 hours of Call of Duty. Call of
Yeah,
Duty.
exactly. Something like that. I think that's the game we plays. I don't know.
Okay, I want to talk more about creativity, and I also want to talk about the chaos
Okay.
in the spirit of like truth and authenticity,
Yep.
and from what I see through Instagram anyways, is like the chaos in the best way of like
Yeah. Absolutely.
the sports. We're going to Grand Forks. The home is transformed into Santa's Wonderland. And then we've got Dom as Santa. And then we're celebrating literally every holiday to the max. So I'm not surprised you
Oh,
don't have a
it's
favorite and you just love them all. And then all of a sudden, you're in Toronto running a full marathon and absolutely like killing it. And I'm like, okay, I do want to know if she does sleep or if she does sleep and is somehow superhuman in a way I'm unaware of. Or no,
oh my god. I'm laughing. This is so funny.
in all seriousness, I want to ask you about like thriving in the chaos because you don't look like someone who the chaos isn't like it's you thrive in it. Tell us more.
Okay, well, sometimes like I don't even think when you're so used to it, I don't think you notice. And I remember like in my family group chats, my sister, like my like closest sister, best friend, uh, lives out west. So I didn't get a chance to like fully recap her on my Toronto trip, but she knew I was running the marathon. So I don't even think I realized how chaotic my life was. And she goes, Kaylee, good luck on your marathon. Like any like side plans before, because we flew out Friday morning. And the marathon obviously was like bright and early Sunday morning. And she's like, any side plans before? And I was like, oh, side plans. Like the marathon is my side plan. Like we have a wedding Saturday night, like so before the marathon. And then I was like, and I'm going to Justin Timberlake tonight. And she was like, what? She's like, what? I thought this trip was like strictly for a marathon. You might go for like a nice pasta dinner on Saturday, have like one glass of red wine on red wine on Friday. I was like, oh no, I just like squeezed the marathon into this. So I think sometimes I'm like, oh yes, I do truly thrive amongst it. Also like that's just how like that's all I know. We're a family of five. And
Mhm.
like I think my kids do a lot of sports. Like we did like shout out to my parents. I'm like, I don't even know how they did this. And I love when we have a family dinner, just like hearing the stories. Like my dad left like his current company to start a business when my mom was pregnant with me. And I remember her just being like, how are we gonna do this, Dave? Like there's four other kids. And then my mom was a full-time teacher, like a resource teacher and special needs teacher. And then she was like, I have to start a daycare. Like we can't even there's not no time for like all the children and everything. And we all played like all five of us played hockey, all five of us played soccer. My mom was like the community club convener. Like that's just
Mhm.
they were so actively involved, and I just saw the shuffle of everything. I remember like my family calendar like giving me anxiety like into my adult years, being like, this is insanity. I'll just color code it. Um, yeah, like it was, and my dad like would go. He was like doing his master's in engineering, and she was like, "You have to take all the kids to the engineering library." Like, and he's like, "I can't." Like, it was just pure chaos then. And like you said, like I look back, and those are these memories. I just like going from like my brother's hockey to then like my hockey and sprinting and just living in the rink or eating out of the canteen and stuff is like what made my childhood like I think magic, that I was just like that. I just don't. I honestly don't think I know anything else. And then I
Yeah.
think it's so funny because then Dom's like, "Oh my god, I was just like two kids and like we played soccer and like they played very high level soccer and they're so good, but it's like it's such a different." I'm like, "We have another family dinner," and he's like, "Sorry, what?" No, I don't have this many family dinners. Like I've never had this many in my life. I'm like, um, so yeah, I just like we do. I love everything that comes with it, like the holidays and the
Yeah.
kids' sports and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Am Amazing. And can I just recap this in regards to the marathon weekend? So you fly out Friday morning. You go to Justin Timberlake Friday night.
We hit the expo, pick up my race kit right on the way downtown. Yep,
Perfect. Efficiency. We're here. We're all about
all
efficiency.
about efficiency. Yep.
Amazing. So you get the race kit on the way to Justin Timberlake concert.
Yeah, we go to Joey's for a happy hour. Back to the room to get ready. Go to Justin Timberlake. That was like a 3 a.m. kind of night. And then woke up. It was like brunch, got ready. The wedding ceremony was already early. And then the wedding was in Mississauga too. So I had to make my way back to downtown Toronto. And then Dom was so cute. He's like, okay, I'll probably like, I'm trying not to be too late. I'll come in at like 2 in the morning. I knew my alarm was set for 3:45. So I'm like, I'm so sorry. You have to stay in your own hotel in Mississauga. Like, there's no coming back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he tracked my kilometers all the way back from Mississauga on the app. I had no idea it even existed. So kudos.
Amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, it was such a fun weekend.
And so you ran a full marathon the day after the
I
wedding.
did. But I was very chill at the wedding. I was very chill.
Okay. I mean, regardless, you still went to Justin Timberlake the night before that at 3 a.m. She's like, no, no, it was a chill wedding. It's like,
I did. All that is accurate.
meanwhile, I'm like trying to get ample sleep for 7 days before my half marathon.
Sam, I'm watching you kill it from across. This is like what we said. I love it about Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, this girl is like now. And then you reach out and you're starting a podcast. I'm like, how does she do it? But like, it's so funny because what is like cool to other, like I'm watching you from afar, just like A, cheering you on, B, thinking what you take on is insane and amazing. I love watching it unfold.
Well, thank you. Likewise, I love watching your life unfold. And even though I might not be the target demographic, I am still here for it and I am still
Thank
cheering
you.
for you.
Thank you for hyping me up. Thank you.
Amazing. And I just want to like, I guess, highlight or say something for those listening in regards to, the chaos or a full life. I believe that when we're following our truth, we have the stamina for it.
I
And
love that. You're so
yeah.
wise. Yeah, I'm listening to you. These are my new quotes. I'm going to be like, someone's going to interview me in 10 years. I'm like, someone once said, when we're living in our truth, we have to stand
We have the stamina for it. Therefore, I can go to Justin Timberlake and I can go to a wedding in Mississauga and run a full marathon within 72 hours.
Hey, do you know what's so funny though? Is that like I did, oh my God, I did my sister was in town and we all did this like F45 trial week.
Uh-huh.
And first of all, F45 is I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, I can run a marathon and do that. I cannot, a class is not for me. The instructor was like, so sorry, if you could just like pull the skier like this. I'm like, this is taking every ounce of coordination my body has. Like I can't do better than this. She's like, if you could just like not arch your back. I'm like, that's not happening. I can't do it. So I always think it's so funny, like what some people are like excel at. I'm terrible at other ways. So don't take me to
Yeah.
a class. Yeah.
Don't take you to a fitness
No,
class. Just put you on
no.
the track and let her run.
There you go. Yeah, let her rip.
Okay. Okay. I want to ask you more about creativity because before video came out, what was your creative outlet like growing up?
I would say honestly, I always loved. Well, growing up, I was just like such an arts and crafts kid. I mean, I obviously played a ton of sports, but I loved like I was more like the quiet, reserved kid. I was fine staying in. I like loved staying in to do like an arts and crafts kind of thing. I was probably also like fake making videos on the side, or like pretending to vlog. So I'm like, oh, so if I get this, I can understand it. And then slowly it would I loved like I slowly became more and more passionate with like decor. I just like love that. So kind of like DIY like and I could never when I first moved into my other house, Dom would literally like text me and be like, fresh shipment of pallets at the office. And I'm like, bring them home, we'll make a coffee table. Like that was a stage of life we were in. And I just like any kind of DIY or I loved like we would scoop like furniture off the my girlfriend Jess and I would always do like the free garbage days or the free like curb days and just kind of trying to like DIY anything we could pull from someone's garbage that had potential. So it's kind of always in that sense. I just like live for that kind of stuff. And then slowly, which I find is a lot of what I would share on Instagram would be like a decor, a DIY. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, beyond the funny videos where that's the creativity itself is, you all of your DIY stuff are incredible. Like I'm thinking about you melting and making these candles and I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. And that is also what you would share is that I guess when video came into play, then it was, ooh, I can be creative with my creativity and
Well,
show,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
I can record this, my trusty tripod and yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah, truly like love that kind of stuff. It's mostly
Amazing.
like the like not too wild DIYs. They have to be like pretty straightforward, but yeah, they're yeah.
I'm super impressed. Don't worry. Like I'm not
Okay.
really actually like on Pinterest very much, so probably your feed is like the extent of DIY seeing I see, and so I'm blown away. I'm like,
Okay,
this is
I think
unreal.
you could be a candle bender if you wanted to be.
And you and your husband spent the past couple of years building your dream home.
We did. Thank you. Yes.
Well, congratulations.
Okay.
And from
Yeah.
what I've seen on Instagram, it is incredible. And in just in regards to the decor piece and showcasing, yeah, it's almost like your home has become a creative project for you in a way as well.
Yes, and I truly loved that aspect. Of the design process. It was so fun. It was a couple years. It's wild of like what you get decision fatigue over. I'm like, yep, this color paint. Yep, this works. But then like I'll never forget the night we moved in, and this is probably why you're like people are like she's crazy and doesn't sleep. He was like, okay, like we didn't have a mattress yet, so he's like, I'm gonna go back. Like we weren't. It was a we moved in on we would have moved in on a Friday, yeah, and then we were waking up. The Saturday at our old house and staying our first night the Saturday night. And I was like, I can't. I just like don't want to stop styling shelves. I don't want to stop doing this. And he's like, there's nowhere to sleep. I'm like, I just want to like continue to be decorating and like setting up the girls' Christmas trees in the room. I just like I think I live for that. And I do swear by for me, always like something I love will always trump sleep. So even if it's just like having a coffee alone, I get so much like in the morning. So like I'll lose an hour of sleep to do that and get up before the family. I get so much, my body gets so much more from that and my mind than it does with an extra hour of sleep.
Totally.
If that makes sense. It probably sounds crazy, but I
No, not at all. I've heard that before from a lot of mom friends of mine as well, of like just setting that alarm extra early, even though it is so hard because to have that like sacred time and space to
it's
yourself.
so sacred. And that's truly how I feel like when I'm doing something, because for the majority of the time, if I am doing decorating or if I am filming something, like it would all be after work time when my girls are home. And I'm like, this is wild. So like if I do it a little bit later, like this morning was probably like I got up at 5 and I just like made the else like spaghetti scene. And it was just like I was like, oh, like drinking my coffee, like my hot coffee. And no one was asking me questions. And it was like a little I'm like, this is yeah, my happy
Amazing.
place. A sacred time. That's well said.
And when it comes to sharing or celebrating your life and what you're up to, whether it's the marathon, the fun creative stuff you're doing with your family, the home, I guess something I struggle with. believe it or not. And I do feel like people listening might be able to relate, where the essence of what I'm getting at is like we care what other people think about us.
Okay.
And so my question for you is like, how do you not care what other people think? You celebrate loudly and it's so beautiful to me. And yeah, how do you do it?
Okay, I love that. And I remember again in the initial stages, you try to like get that thought out. I'm like, I know what you're saying. Don't worry, you know, like I get it. One, I clearly like it's been, I feel like just forever. I've just been like, you either like me or you don't. I'm a lot. I actually sometimes don't even know how my husband does it on a regular basis. Thank God I made mini me so my kids like have to like enjoy it and so good. But okay, so truly I try to like take for me how you're like, oh, like how do you are you like celebrating guilt free or sharing this guilt free? Kind of like a twofold answer. I shared everything from I'll take you back to the time when I remember going like I'll remember this so much. I was meeting my friends at Carlos and Murphy's. I was like we had just bought a house that I saved up for. I worked at my current job still. I've been there 15 years now. And it was like in the beginning stages, but I saved up for the first couple of years and I just had no money to furnish the place. And we would like, I would literally go to like all the Goodwills and scour. And I remember putting together, we called it the diner. I lived with my girlfriend Carly, and it was mismatched furniture and like pieces from like the 60s and nothing went together and a couple pieces pulled from the garbage and a rotary phone. And I shared, like, I wanted to share that. I was so proud of that little diner and that. And I'm like, you can never. So, like, here I am 12 years later sharing. I'm sharing in a house that, like, it's evolved into a more beautiful house, my journey. But I wanted to share in all stages of life. And I think that's why I'm trying to be like, if like you can't wait to be happy. And if you want to share, you share in every stage. So I'm like, if you're still here 12 years later, like that's on you. That's on you. You got to celebrate it. You just got to romanticize everything. I want to share my coffee like 7 days a week. And like, it's crazy, but that's what I want to do. And then secondly, I'm someone like, I want to take it all in. If you're on a girls trip, I want to see your boomerang cheers from 8 different angles. Like I want it reposted. I want to know what I want to see it from the dirty martini shot. I want to see it from the espresso martini shot. I want to see it from the margarita shot. I want to see it from the Aperol spritz shot. Like, girl, you do this. You soak it in. You like, where are we going for dinner on this trip? What are we doing? Like, take me with you. So
Mhm.
I think that's maybe why I have no problem sharing because I love it. I also saw one girl, I'm gonna even shout her out because she's this like, I know her through my cousin and she's so much younger. Um, Her name's Alana, and she once shared like, hey, if you're too nervous to share, I think she put it on like just like she wrote it or it was a quote, but it's like if you're too nervous to share and you want to be sharing, DM me, send it to me personally. I'm gonna hype you up. And I literally like I feel like I love what she shares. And I'm like, I want to be everyone's hype girl. I also just feel like I'm very fortunate in the way I don't struggle with comparison. So I wouldn't take that away, but I do think we now live in a world where it is really hard. And I try to share everything very honestly. Like the Halloween lunches, like I want to make that. I want to get up at 5 a.m. and I want to set my elf up in a crazy way. But then I'm also like, when people might be like, oh man, this mom's doing so much with her elf. Like, I watch you decorate the tree with your kids, and I think that is so special. I can't do it. I'm a Grinch. My kids can't even touch the tree. There's no ornaments. So I just truly think if we're like acknowledging what we're good at and then where we struggle, like let's just be, I try to be so transparent online. Like oh my God, we went to a hockey party last week and like somehow, and so I knew I had my like really close friends who our kids would go to the same school and they send out this like, it's called like Fantastic Friday news. And every Friday they're like, just a reminder to the parents who are still late or like dropping their kids off on the east side of the street or parking in the bus loop. And everyone's like, Britt, like they just need to be like, to the lady in the white Suburban, this is you. This is you every day. Can you get better at the drop off? So like, it's so weird. Some places where I think I'm like, I'm killing it. Like my Halloween lunches are great. Like I can't get my kid to school on time. I can't remember. I texted you and I'm like, will this call be recorded? And you're like, yep, like right here. And like, there's just like some things you
It's in the
get.
email I sent you. No.
Yeah, right. I think so. It's so funny that like I just think if you're transparent, like I'm dropping the ball in other places, but like stuff that I think is so fun, I'm gonna celebrate it. I'm just like that's who I'm gonna be, and I think love the mute function. If you're not here for me, and you're too scared to unfollow, or yeah, you're not here for me, and you're too scared to unfollow. Just toss a mute on me. Like I'm okay with it.
Oh,
I hope that answers or sums it up. But like I just if you're posting and you're celebrating, I'm your hype girl. Like I want to celebrate with you.
yeah.
And I think that's why we started that, like what
Mhm,
this app should be about.
mhm,
And it doesn't have to be all celebration. If you're also like if you're grieving, I want to grieve with you. I just like I do truly feel that connection
mhm.
to my following, to the people I follow. So I think it's kind of I just sometimes I'm like we're all in it together. Like let's share tips and go off. I'm gonna take that elf idea or something. Like yeah. If that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I have like you said that answer was twofold, and I kind of have two responses. I'm gonna share my like big takeaway from what you said last, like
Okay.
after.
Okay.
Um, but I guess one thing I really heard in that was this, acknowledgement around you're like, I'm not killing it in every area of life. Like as much as I'm, celebrating all the fun stuff in life, or I'm not, hiding my strengths and what I love, like
Mhm.
you're not out there, and you're not pretending to be perfect in every which way at all. And so why not celebrate your strengths, because we all have strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
or there's a flip side to that. So why not celebrate what you are loving, what you're good at, where you're thriving? Why not? So that's what I've really heard in the strength piece that I was taking away. And then my other takeaway in regards to this question of like, how can we all not be, shy or afraid to celebrate, to share our wins, and to celebrate our life. And it I had this moment where I was like, it's almost like to not celebrate is to not show or express gratitude for who we are or what we're doing. And to share that is to, express our gratitude. And it kind of comes back to that mindful way of being and living, where we're just really grateful or accepting of who we are and where we are and what we're doing. And if we're afraid to share that, we're kind of like shutting down that gratitude.
You sum things up so beautifully. That was so well said. I feel like I just spew things at you, like
No,
from diarrhea, and then you're like, "Let me wrap it up for the followers, like, or sum it up." And then you're like, "Okay, that was so well said." I totally agree. I do feel so incredibly grateful, and I do try to share that often. But yeah, I really love that, Sam. I think that was so beautifully said.
Aw, thank you. I was honestly just responding with like my authentic takeaway of okay,
Okay, well,
celebrate. 'Cause
I'll take it. But yes,
yeah.
thank you for so lovely summing it up.
Have you always celebrated with ease, or carried this essence of, not caring what other people think, or not letting it get to you or bother you? Has it always been that way?
I think so. I've also been like, I am like you sometimes. Oh my God, we have this like running joke at work. Like someone will call like a broker accounting I work with, and I'm always like, "Hi," and they're like, "Is your mother home?" I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, I've always been this like blonde, too energetic, like bubbly person. I'm like a bit spacey, so like I've been the butt of all jokes that like I just roll with the punches, like wherever. That's like nothing. That's kind of like never bothered me that I know there's gonna be people who judge. I also do things a little bit differently. My parenting's a little bit wild. Like, do I wish I could get my kids to sleep at a normal, reasonable time? Yes, that's not happening. So like I share, I'm like, it's 10, they're still doing cartwheels. So I truly think I am very much okay with celebrating or sharing a lot because I am very authentic. I think
Hmm.
that online, at least I try to be, I do try to be as transparent as possible. That if someone's takeaway is negative or kind of like why is she sharing or celebrating this? Um, it might just be like maybe then this isn't the space for you, or my page isn't the space for you. But I am grateful, and I think sharing my life is so fun. Like sharing and like seeing people's lives. Like we worked together, like you said, back in 2017, and I haven't seen you in years. And like I see you post much less than me, but you're like beautiful snippets of your life and like your dog and just like your journey. I'm always like, go Sam. Like I am so proud of you. So I feel so grateful to be able to watch people's lives from afar,
Mhm.
and share mine. And especially it's so nice to like I'll occasionally get like a nice message from like Dom's family are all in Saskatoon, and his like great grandma who even has Instagram, and she's like, I just like I love watching the girls, like seeing them more, and that kind of stuff. I love so much.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh.
that like
It's
sparks joy for me, and I also feel
Mhm.
like I acknowledge like my family's even like you're great. Like my brother's like, oh, didn't I wouldn't have shared that, but like or something like it's so funny. Um, but I think it's cool to like have found a like a safe
Mhm.
space. And then in closing on this answer, I love like there's a few sound bites I relate to so much. Like the one where it's like, was I loud? Was I too loud on
Yeah.
like in my own house? Like, was I too loud on my own page? Like, get you just unfollow or what? Like, so I try to realize being like, no one's you don't have to be here. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes when I'm like, oh, this might be a wild one to share, I'm like, just yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I do,
No.
but I feel very like connected to my followers, if you will.
Totally. It's a community, you know, of to be a
Yeah.
part of. Yeah. I truly think that, and that's why it feels really authentic. And I just love your invitation around, and I think it's so good for all of us to remember that like just love and accept who you are. And if people don't want to, you're not for everyone. And
Yeah,
that's
I'm not.
okay.
I
And
am like like my husband's in that club. He's probably like, "What did I get myself into?"
and to just be okay with that. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm hearing is you're not a people pleaser at all.
No, I'm not.
O Okay,
And
have
I think
you
like people are like shocked to find that out. Um, yeah, sometimes like, and then sometimes, okay, so Dom, I would say like is and like really like, so he's always like, rein it in, we'll meet in the middle, we'll do this. No, and I feel like I like come maybe it's just like the high pitched voice and like the bubbly energetic personality. But no, I like to mix it up a little bit. But I'm also like I say that I'm not a people pleaser, but I think I'm also okay in sharing what I do because at the end of the day, like I do feel like I'm a very kind person. I'm also like I'm your judgment free girl. Like you do you,
Yeah.
you do you. I'm like also like you parent how you're gonna parent. Like, and I also am like I'm someone who I'm like I'm extremely loyal and I'm like I got your back. So I just like, yeah, I don't know. We joke we have this like I have like a good couple like different groups of friends, but I have this one core group and we joke because we work so well. Like we just like we call it like it is. We'll tell you if you're being like a little bit of a bee, but we like are the most loyal and fierce group
Yeah.
ever. And like it's just these friendships that I'll cherish forever. And I think that in having this like good group, I'll call it girlfriends because that's just their my core group of girls. Is something that like it makes it so much easier to be your authentic self and just like truly there's no time I'm also almost 40. There's no time for BS anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's so true. I think that, you know, when we have our own community, not speaking to like an Instagram community,
Yeah.
all just as valuable, but just this your community of people who make you feel safe to be who you are. And I
Yeah.
think when we naturally have that foundation or those people in our life, it feels more comfortable to live our authentic truth outside of that group as well, even in
Yes.
workspace, because then we start to go, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. You know, these people love and accept me. And so maybe it's, you know, the group of people who I'm with, and that's okay. And can we,
Totally.
you know, find ways
Yeah.
to work together or coexist or
Yeah.
things like that. But yeah, really, community is so important. And
It
yeah.
truly isn't like you said online, but then this to have this like real kind of like group of girlfriends, and like they will make fun of me all the time. Like there's a comment about my Instagram all the time. But do they have my back and like always support me? Absolutely. And I think that just makes it so easy and fun to really, like you said, live your true self.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. And, a big aspect of this podcast, I mean, the title of it is called Life as Ceremony. And a big aspect of it is spirituality. And when you mentioned you are a kind person and you are, everyone's biggest cheerleader and non-judgmental, I always say to people, the most spiritual thing you could ever do is be yourself and not judge someone else for doing the same. And I don't know if you identify as spiritual or not, and and you don't have to if you
I
don't.
didn't until now, but now as you sum things up so beautifully, I'm like, maybe I am a bit spiritual. Just like, yeah, yeah. Maybe this is my journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I think that, in a way, we've lost sight of like what spirituality really is. I think some people associate it with, you know, yoga, meditation, crystals,
Right.
or even that spirituality must be associated with religion, which isn't true either. And I think like the true essence of spirituality is connection, and it's about embodying certain values like kindness, authenticity, truth, and non-judgment. And yeah, so I
I
just
love
wanted to
that.
share with
Yeah, that's so, yeah, I love hearing that.
Britt's gonna leave. She's like, Dom, I'm on a spiritual journey.
I
You know
look, you
that?
are, I'm like, sorry, can you repeat
She's
that?
taking notes.
It's
Yeah.
it's in my bio now.
I'm
No,
gonna
I
go to
totally
Instagram and
don't.
see.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're like talking over each other. Keep going.
No,
Go.
no. Oh my God, no. Sorry. No. That's just, it's like sometimes the way you like sum up and say things, and you're right. Like I do think we relate spirituality to so many of those things you mentioned. But to hear what you say to all that, I'm like, that's so. Yeah. No, it just sounds like such a beautiful journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of this podcast is about the idea of, reconnecting with who we truly are. And we see you living your authentic truth. So I was wondering if, our final question, if we could wrap it up with hearing from you about what helps you reconnect with yourself. What are the things in life that you turn to?
Oh, okay. I love this. I'm a big reader, so I love. Mine is like truly. I would say that sacred time you spoke about before. It like sets my soul on fire. Like it makes me so happy. I'm someone like we'll go. I just did a little girls' cabin weekend, or cabin like scoot. We did a Thursday. I took last Thursday and Friday off. It was so lovely. No matter what setting I'm in, no matter how comfortable, I need this like downtime to all me. And I think that's like then how I go as fast as I do or thrive in the chaos. But I just recharge and like reconnect with myself so much with some alone time, a cup of coffee. I'm like a 4 p.m. latte gal. I love an evening latte. And really just like curling up with a book. Also, biggest thing ever is I walk my dogs really early every morning. And you just find that time is like, maybe I like don't touch my phone. I soak it in and I just feel like that helps me reconnect with myself so much.
Amazing. I love it. I'm like, wow, she finds time to read and walk the dogs before. I'm kidding. No, those are such beautiful ways to connect with yourself. And I can even, relate to that when I'm outside with
Yes.
my dog, no phone, and just really enjoying what's around me. And yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that with us,
No,
Britt.
please.
So how can listeners find you, or I was about to say like work with you?
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Reach out. Reach out.
Brittany's like, I'm available.
Um,
Yes.
I'm on Instagram. I'm that really annoying girl from Winnipeg who's posting all the time. My kids are really cute though. Um,
Halloween lunches are fire.
oh my God, do I have so much fun with the Halloween lunches. And then now I feel like the elf is my like Christmas version. So my followers got like a little break November 1st to 30th. They're like, oh, okay, she's like held it back a bit. And then I'm back with full force.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, you can find my Instagram. Hey, you can share it. You can share
Yes,
my
absolutely. It'll be in the notes, and yes, I will definitely share it. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. It was also so fun to reconnect. You should also know I am from afar your biggest fan. I'm always so proud of you. I was when we worked together.
Good.
I feel like you were like up in the culture crew at now, like just national series, so many good things. Um, you're also just like a really lovely soul, Sam. You're so wonderful, and it was so nice connecting.
Yeah. Oh, you're making me emotional over here. Well, I very much feel the same way about you, and it was so nice to reconnect. And I love the journey of our relationship, of like how it started
Oh my God, me
at
too.
national leasing. And yeah, I mean, I didn't speak about, maybe I'll save that for another podcast episode, but
Yes,
it's like enjoyed my time there. And there's people who I met there who I, still see on Instagram and stay connected with them
yeah.
because there was that, connection in 2017, and it was so special. So I think that you are also a really, really beautiful soul. And thanks so much for making the time to chat with me today.
Thank you. How fun to catch up. I loved it.